tell Peter Obi that he must take action against Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo. He must take action. Why? There is imminent danger if he does not take action. Is there any action he can take? The answer is yes. Will it be of any effect? The answer is yes. I know there are many of you who will be quick to argue and say, oh, it is APC in government and nothing will happen. They own the judiciary. But is it entirely true that nothing can be done to correct the errors of the Edo State governor? Is it true that he enjoys immunity and so nothing can touch him or he cannot be touched? Is this the time for Peter Obi to put on this calm and gentleman behavior? It is not. When a public official in the caliber of the governor of a state openly threatens a citizen, another citizen, oh, several alarms are triggered. Several alarms, so important that they should and must never be ignored. This is not the time to be, oh, I'm a gentleman, I am a peaceful person. Oh, so don't mind the governor. Mr. Peter Obi, this is not the time for that. Peace is not the absence of justice. And you cannot sacrifice justice on the altar of peace. I know you are a gentleman, but this is the time for you as a gentleman to demand justice. Because if you don't demand justice, you are feeding impunity and you are killing rule of law. So if not for anything, you must act, oh Peter Obi, you must act against Monday Okpebholo through legally recognized means or channels. Now, I'm going to say this. There are 4 alarm bells that just went off, and it's a pity that the people concerned, critical stakeholders, are not speaking about it. 4. What are these 4? Constitutional breach is number 1. Criminal breach, breaking of the law, is number 2. Breach of the Code of Conduct. We have a Code of Conduct Act and an oath of office. The governor just broke it. It's involved. And then number 4, you have civil liability risk. These 4 alarm bells just went off. Let's take them one by one and see what Peter Obi can do to ensure that impunity is totally crushed and that the rule of law reigns supreme. I say it again, Peter Obi, this is not the time to be a perfect gentleman. Even perfect gentlemen demand justice. And you cannot sacrifice justice on the altar of I am a gentleman or on the altar of I want peace. There can be no peace without justice. And you, oh Peter Obi, must act. Now, what are the constitutional breaches that the governor engaged? Freedom of movement, guaranteed under the 1999 Constitutions of Nigeria as amended, Section 41, subsection 1. Every citizen of Nigeria is entitled to move freely throughout Nigeria. So for the governor to come out and say, Obi cannot just come to Edo State without my permission, his security will not be guaranteed. I am serious. It's not only illegal, it's a breach of that constitutional right. And it's an attempt at extra-legal ban. So what the governor has just done is try to ban Peter Obi from coming into Edo State, which is against the Constitution. The constitutional right of Peter Obi to move freely. Breach of the Constitution. Another breach of the Constitution is Peter Obi's right to life and personal security in section 33, subsection 1, and in section 14, subsection 2b. Security of the people is the primary purpose of government. Peter Obi does not need to request for governor's protection before he enters Edo State. So for the governor, a governor hinting that violence may befall a visitor unless conditions are met undermines his duty to protect life, not to threaten it. So that's a second breach of the Constitution that action has taken. Thirdly, equality and non-discrimination in political participation. The Constitution in section 40, right to association, and in section 42, no adverse treatment for political opinion. Singling out an opposition figure for special security clearance is discriminatory use of state power. In these three occasions, the governor of Edo State breached the Constitution of Nigeria. Ordinarily, you will say, oh, it doesn't matter, but it matters. Why does it matter? The constitutional rights are justiciable. Obi could file an urgent fundamental rights action in the Benin Division of the Federal High Court for declaratory relief and restraining order. Obi can do that. There are other consequential action that the governor can suffer. We'll get to them in a bit. But let's look at the second alarm bell that just went off. Criminal breach of the Constitution of law. Number 1, threatening violence or intimidation. The Criminal Code Act, section 86, makes it a demeanor and a 1-year jail time or 3 years if it is at night. Now, a public statement with intent to intimidate, to threaten any person, constitutes threatening violence and intimidation. And it's a breach of the Criminal Code Act in section 86. You see why Peter Obi cannot just let this slide. Number 2, cyber threat or menacing communication. Now, the government, the police, the APC, and Tinubu has always been very quick to use the Cyber Crimes Act against opposition voices. Now, in the Cyber Crimes Act 2015, even 2024 as amended, section 24, subsection 1 is still in operation. It criminalizes online messages that causes danger, injury, or criminal intimidation. This clip went viral. This clip was distributed via social media platforms. This constitutes a violation of the Cyber Crimes Act. Now, the police in Nigeria, what can they do? Will they swing into action the way they do against opposition voices? That remains to be seen. Number 3, incitement or campaign violence. Electoral Act 2022, section 92, subsection 1, and section 93, subsection 1, bans abusive language or threats likely to provoke violence in campaigns, punishable by a fine, imprisonment, or party sanction. Now, the rally setting and the political context bring it under the act, even though it is outside formal campaign window. INEC can still be approached to act. The governor can be banned with the relevant punishment under that Electoral Act breach. Possible terrorism-related threat. If you look at the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2022, Section 2 and Section 25, threats intended to intimidate a population or compel action. If interpreted as a menacing national figure, if interpreted as menacing a national figure to deter political activity, investigators could explore this angle. Now, you may come up and say the governor has immunity, so even when he breaks the law, criminal proceedings cannot be instituted against him. That argument can be made, but is that sufficient for Peter Obi to remain silent on this matter? Immunity note. Section 308 gives a sitting governor temporary immunity from arrest or trial, but not from investigation or evidence preservation. A report can still be lodged with the DSS or police. Prosecution can follow once he leaves office, or the House of Assembly could commence impeachment proceedings for gross misconduct according to Section 188 of the Nigerian Constitution against him. But will these be done? Now, if they are not done, does this still stop Peter Obi from taking action? Are there other options available to Peter Obi to take? Because he must act. If he doesn't act, he's killing rule of law, he's feeding impunity. And that is not good for any society. Breach of code of conduct. You see that oath of office that public officials swear to when they are sworn into office is not ordinary. It has power. It has the backing of the Code of Conduct Act that sets up the Code of Conduct Bureau and the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Now, that oath of office, it says in the 5th schedule, paragraph 9, no public officer shall do any arbitrary act prejudicial to the rights of any other person, knowing that such act is unlawful. Now, the statement is an arbitrary act that prejudices Peter Obi's constitutional rights. So the Code of Conduct Tribunal proceedings are possible against the governor of Edo State, and Peter Obi must explore it. Now, even the Constitution in Section 172, every public officer must conform to the Code of Conduct. Non-compliance forms the basis for a CCT referral and, in extreme cases, disqualification from office. He can be disqualified from running or seeking a second term, even if immunity covers him for the first term. So, Peter Obi, you will be doing a lot of injustice to Nigerians, to the Constitution, to rule of law, if you think that you can act perfect gentleman and say you are a man of peace and not pursue justice in this case. This matter is too serious to just be allowed to slide. It's too serious. Now, there are several political and civil liability risks. I won't want to dwell too much on that, but what are the practical next steps that Peter Obi can engage? Peter Obi must now petition the Inspector General of Police, petition the DSS with the clip citing Criminal Code 86, Criminal Code Section 86, and Cyber Crimes Act Section 24, requesting open investigation at least. This is not a call to violence. Peter Obi must petition the IGP. This is not the time to say, oh, the APC, Tinubu is in charge of the police. Nothing can happen. This is not the time for that. This is the time for Peter Obi to institute a petition against the IGP and the DSS. Let it be on record. And he must cite Criminal Code Section 86 and Cyber Crimes Act Section 24. So that even if the governor enjoys immunity now, investigations can be opened against him and such trials can come even after his tenure expires. This is how to de-weaponize impunity. The governor apparently is not a respecter of the law. He doesn't even appear to know the law. He looks to me like a tout, like an agberu, and he behaves like one. This is the same governor that could not even pronounce trillion. Such a governor must be made to realize that there are laws in Nigeria, and Peter Obi cannot afford to just say he's a gentleman and not take action. The first line of action available to him is to write a petition. Secondly, Peter Obi must now file a fundamental rights action at the Federal High Court in Benin, seeking declarations, restraining orders, and damages. You can do this. The governor's immunity does not prevent Peter Obi from filing a fundamental rights action. Number 3, Peter Obi can approach the Code of Conduct Bureau. Peter Obi can approach the Code of Conduct Bureau for referral to the CCT. And the CCT has power, like I said earlier, to ban the governor from office for a period so that he will not be entitled to a second term. So it will be a lot of injustice if Peter Obi does not ask. Those of you close to him, tell him now, it is a gentleman, he is a gentleman, but it is a gentlemanly thing to do to pursue justice so that we can strengthen rule of law and so that we can destroy impunity in our society. If impunity continues to be allowed to go unchecked, then even the elections of 2027 will be at risk, because you need impunity to rig election. So if Peter Obi wants free and fair election in 2027, one step he would take to ensuring that free and fair elections is to destroy impunity today. And that starts with him taking action. The third line of action for him would be to approach the Code of Conduct Tribunal. He can engage INEC, is the fourth one, even though this is just not as effective as the others. And then somebody says he can lobby the Edo State House of Assembly. I don't see how that is possible. In a sane environment, the actions of this governor constitutes gross misconduct and disregard of the Constitution of Nigeria, and there are substantial grounds for him to be impeached by the Edo State House of Assembly. But will this be done? This is why Nigerians must push for free and fair elections, for a level playing field, so that credible candidates can get into office, not only of governor, but into the legislature. So that when governors like Monday Okpebholo does what he just did, the people in the House of Assembly can take appropriate action. But will they take appropriate action? This is a test for the Edo State House of Assembly. If they stand for justice, if they stand for the rule of law, or if they are just a rubber stamp House of Assembly. But on a final note, Peter Obi, this is not the time to play nice. This is not the time to say you are a gentleman. You cannot sacrifice justice on the altar of peace. There can be no peace without justice. You cannot let the action of Monday Okpebholo, the governor of Edo State, go unanswered. You have the 5 lines of action available to you that does not affect your calm demeanor. So you don't have any excuse. You must take action. Please, and take action immediately.